Hello and welcome to Edu Sathi's lecture on pie charts. This is a topic under data interpretation. Let's begin with pie charts. Data representation. We've already discussed the cumulative bar graphs in the bar graphs lecture. Of a category can be represented in the form of a pie. Generally, each pie corresponds to a particular category. Now, for example, this is a cumulative bar graph. So I have the number of vehicles in thousands represented by this y-axis, and the x-axis represents the year. So the year is 2013, and in this year 2013 I sold 300 units of this product A, 540 units of this product B, and 660 units of this product C. So this entire height, which is 1500, gives me the total sales of vehicles in this year 2013. Now this can also be represented using a pie chart. A pie means that we draw a circle and we draw segments. So the higher segment shows 660, which is the vehicle C. A is represented by 300 and B by 540. Now how do we define these angles? Let's take this angle as Y, X, this angle as Y, and this angle as Z. We'll discuss this in the slides to come. Also, if the cumulative graph is in terms of percentage, so we have again the number of vehicles in thousands, and this is the percentage. So A sold 20% of the total sales. The sales of this product B was 36% of the total sales, and product C was 44% of this total sales in the year 2013. Again, this can be represented in the form of a pie. The only thing we need to worry here is again these angles X, Y, and Z. Let's move on to the next slide and discuss how do we find out these angles. So here, this is the graph I discussed in the first slide. I had C as 660, A as 300, and B as 540. So the total sales was 1500 vehicles. Now when I have to define this in terms of degrees, this last graph here, how do I define this? The total sales is represented by this total angle here, which is 360 degrees. So if 1500, the total sales, corresponds to 360 degrees, then one sale will correspond to 360 divided by 1500 degrees. And similarly, for vehicle C, let's take 660 would be represented by, we multiply this by 660, and this angle when you calculate will come out to be 158.4 degrees. Similarly, if you have to calculate for, let's say, the product A, so the product A is 300 in quantity. So again we go by this unitary method. So the answer would be 360 by 1500 multiplied by 300. When you calculate this angle will come out to be 72 degrees. Similarly, if you have to calculate for B, the answer would be 360 degrees divided by 1500 multiplied by 540. When you calculate this, you'll get the answer as 129.6 degrees. And all these angles, these three angles, when you add up, make up a complete circle or 360 degrees. So these angles are also the angles which are depicted here. So this is 158.4 degrees, this is 72 degrees, and this is 129.6 degrees. I hope you are clear with how the data is represented using pie charts. Now we'll discuss a couple of questions so that you have more clarity on the concept. So let's move on to the question set 1. This is an actual CAT level question. Distribution of material in Ghosh Babu's body as a percentage of total body weight is given. So other dry materials are 15%, protein is again 15%, and water is 70%. Occurrence of proteins in different organs of Ghosh Babu's body. I have skin 8%, bones 15%, muscle 25%, and proteins 52%. Let's look at the first question. What fraction of approximately Ghosh Babu's weight consists of muscular and skin protein? So muscular and skin protein together make up 8 plus 25, which is 33%. Now 33% of the proteins in the body, as this second graph tells us the occurrence of proteins in different organs of Ghosh Babu's body. So when I have to find out the fraction of Ghosh Babu's weight, I know that protein is only 15% of the weight of the total body weight. So my final answer is going to be 15% of 33%. So I can consider this 33% as 1 by 3. So my answer is 15 by 100 into 1 by 3, which is nothing but, if you cancel out, this goes by 5 and this goes by 20. So the correct answer option is 1 by 20, the C part here. So let's look at the second question here. Ratio of distribution of protein in muscle to the distribution of protein in skin. So we are talking only about proteins here, so we'll refer to the second pie chart. I know that the ratio percentage of protein in muscle is 25% and in skin is 8%. So my answer is 25 ratio 8, which is nothing but, if you cancel out, 3 ratio 1. So approximately the answer is the A part here. Let's look at this next question. What percentage of Ghosh Babu's body weight is made up of skin? Now here I cannot calculate the total body weight which is made up of skin. I can calculate the total body weight which is made up of skin protein, because I know that skin protein is 8% and protein is 15%. So 8% of 15% would be skin protein. But here in the question we have asked only about the skin. So the answer here is cannot be determined. Had it been skin protein, then the answer would have been 8% of 15%. Let's look at the last question in the set. In terms of total body weight, the portion of material other than water and protein is closest to. So since the question mentions total body weight, we'll look at the first graph here, and other dry material is only 15%. So the answer is 15 by 100, which is nothing but 3 by 20. It's a straight question. So the correct answer option is the A part here. Let's try out another question set. Questions refer to the pie chart given below. The questions number 5 to 9. Operating profit is rupees 160 lakh in the year 1991 and 92, and operating profit is rupees 130 lakhs in the year 1990 and 91. And we are given the different composition of the operating profit. We have interest, which is depicted by this blue color. We have tax by the red color. We have retained profit by this green color. Purple represents dividend, and this color here represents, the sky blue color represents depreciation. So the same pie chart is used for 2 years. Now that we've understood the pie charts, let's look at the first question. The operating profit in the year 1991-92 increased over that in 1990-91 by, so in 1991 my operating profit was 130. This is the initial value. The final value is 160 lakhs. We've been asked the percentage increase. So the answer is final minus initial divided by initial, which is 130 into 100. So this gives me 30 divided by 130 into 100. And when you calculate this, you'll get the answer as 23%. Let's look at the next question. The interest burden in the year 1991-92 was higher than that in 1990-91 by. So let's look at the interest burden here. So this color represents the interest burden, which is this color. So in 91-92, I'll just write 91-92, the interest burden was 40% of the total operating profit, which is 160. So this gives me the answer as 64 lakhs. Similarly, in 90 and 91, the interest burden was 30% of 130 lakh. So this comes out to be 30 divided by 100 into 130, which is nothing but 39 lakhs. And once you find out the difference between these two, this is nothing but 25 lakhs. So this is what has been asked in the question, and the correct answer option is the B part here. Question number 7. If on an average 20% rate of interest was charged on the borrowed funds, then the total borrowed funds used by this company in the given 2 years amounted to how much? So I know that the rate of interest was 20%. Let's first calculate what was the total interest in these 2 years. We've already calculated this in the previous question. So this was 40 by 100 into 160, which is 64, and 30 by 100 into 130. It is same as the previous question, which is nothing but 39. When you add these two up, you will get the answer as 103 lakhs. So now I know that the rate of interest was 20%. So let's take the borrowed fund as X. Now X into 20%, which was the rate of interest, should be equal to this interest over the 2 years. So this is equal to 103. So X comes out to be, if I cancel this by 5, so my answer is 515 lakhs, which is the D part here. So pretty simple. Let's look at the 8th question in the set. The retained profit in 1991-92 as compared to that in 1990-91 was higher by 2.5, higher by 1.5, lower by 2.5, or lower by 1.5. Let's check the retained profit. So retained profit is given by this green color here. In 91-92, the retained profit was 20 by 100 into 160, which is nothing but 32 lakhs. In 1990-91, it was 25% of 130, so 25 by 100 into 130. This is 32.5 lakhs. So we have to calculate the percentage increase or decrease. So what is the final value? 32 minus 32.5 divided by 32.5. This is the final value. This is the initial value divided by the initial value into 100. So this gives me 0.5, a minus 0.5. So minus sign here shows that there is a decrease. So it has to be lower. 0.5 divided by 32.5 into 100. So when you calculate this, you will get the answer as lower by 1.5%. Let's look at the last question in the set. The equity base of these companies remained unchanged. Then the total dividend earning by the shareholders in 1991-92 is, so we need to calculate for this year 91-92. So we'll look at this pie chart here. Let's look at the dividends. Dividend is given by this purple color here, which is 8%. So what we need to calculate is 8 by 100 multiplied by this total operating profit, which is 160, and you'll get the answer as 12.8 lakhs. So this was pretty simple. So the answer option is the C part here. Let's look at the set 3 in pie charts. Answer the questions based on the pie charts given below. Chart 1 shows the distribution of 12 million tons of crude oil transported through different modes over a specific period of time. So this chart here represents the volume transported. The total volume being transported is 12 million tons. And similarly, the second chart here shows the distribution of cost of transporting this crude oil, and the total cost here was 30 million. So this represents the cost of transportation, and the total cost of transportation was 30 million. And we have different modes: rail, road, air freight, ship, pipeline. Similarly, again we have all these modes in the second pie chart also. Let's look at the first question in the set. The cost in rupees per ton of oil moved by rail and road happens to be roughly how much? So we have to calculate the cost in rupees per ton. First, let's calculate the total cost spent on rail and road. So rail is 12% and road is 6%. So a total of 18% of 30 million was the cost spent on rail and road. Now this we have to divide by the tons of material or the tons of crude oil which were transported through these two modes. So let's check the volume transported. Rail is 9% and road is 22%. So this makes a total of 31%. For simplicity, I'll take this 31% to be 30% as I have to calculate the cost roughly. So this is divided by 30% of what is the total volume that is moved, 12 million. So 30% of 12 million tons. So this is rupees and this is tons. So I'll get the answer in rupees per ton, which I require here for the question. So this million and million will cancel out. So my final answer is 18 into 30 divided by 30 into 12. So this cancels out. This gives me 6 by 4, or which is nothing but 3 by 2. So my answer is rupees 1.5 per ton. Let's look at the next question. From the chart, it appears that the cheapest mode of transport is. So now in this question, we need to calculate which of these 4 transportation modes has the lowest rupees per ton cost. So what we need to do here is, let's take an example of road. So the cost occurred for road transportation is 6 by 100 multiplied by 30 million. So because this pie chart represents a total of 30 million and this one of 12 million tons. So this is the cost spent on road divided by the volume which is moved by the road. So which is nothing but 22 by 100 into 12. Similarly, I will do this for all these 4 modes: road, rail, pipeline and ship. Now if you notice, this 30 and this 12 will remain common for all these 4 modes of transportation. Similarly, this 100 and 100 here will also cancel out. So basically, to ease my calculations, what I can do is I can just divide this percentage here for road by this percentage here by road, which is the volume transported. So for road, the answer would be 6 by 12. Similarly, for rail, the answer would be 12 divided by 9. So I formed a table here. So for road, the answer is 6 by 22, sorry, not 12. 6 by 22. For rail, the answer is 12 by 9. So I have 12% here and rail is 9% here. For pipeline, I have 65%. This is 65 by divided by 49. And for ship, I have 10 by 9. Now if you notice here, I have marked a cross on all of these. Why have I marked cross here? Because in all these cases, the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So obviously all these 3 fractions are greater than 1. Whereas this fraction here, the road cost, here I have the numerator lesser than the denominator. So this fraction is less than 1. So without making any further calculations, I can find out that the answer is the A part here, or road is the cheapest mode of transport. So the third question in this set is similar to the one which we've discussed before. If the costs per ton of transport by ship, air and road are represented by P, Q and R respectively, which of the following is true? So the cost per ton we've calculated in the previous question as well. So we'll do it again once in this question. Now for road, as I explained it to you, the cost is going to be 6 by 22. How did this 6 by 22 come up? So this is going to be 6% of 30 million, which is because this pie chart represents a total value of 30 million. This pie chart represents a total value of 12 million tons divided by 22% of 12 million tons. Now, since we have to make only a comparison between these three modes of transport, this 30 and this 12 are going to be common in all three. Therefore, we don't consider them. So the only thing we'll consider are these percentages. So I'll just divide 6 by 22. Similarly for air, I'll divide 7 by 11. And for ship, I'll find out this 10, which is the cost, divided by 9. So these percentages or this ratio gives us the right answer. So the highest cost will be occurred by ship, which is P, then by air, which is Q, and then by road, which is R. So the correct answer option here is the C part. P is greater than Q, which is greater than R. Let's try out this last set on pie charts. The following pie chart shows the hourly distribution in degrees of all major activities of a student. So he stays home for 45 degrees. He plays games for 30 degrees out of 360. Sleeping is 120 degrees, others is 60 degrees, and school is 105 degrees. So this entire circle is 360 degrees, which is nothing but 24 hours of a day. Let's look at the first question. The percentage of time which he spends in school is, so he spends in school 105 degrees out of a total of 360 degrees he has in a day. So this multiplied by 100, you'll get the answer somewhere close to 29%. So the closest answer option here is the B part. Let's look at the next question. How much time in percent does he spend in games in comparison to sleeping? So in games he spends 30 degrees, whereas in sleeping he spends 120 degrees. So the required answer here is 30 degrees divided by 120 degrees multiplied by 100. This is nothing but 1 by 4 into 100, which is 25%. Let's look at the next question. If he spends the time in games equal to the homework, so now instead of this 30 degrees, the time spent in games is 45 degrees. So there is a plus 15 degree. And the time remains constant in all other activities, then the percentage decrease in the time of sleeping is. So it means that this remains constant, this remains constant, and this remains constant, but the time which has been increased here, plus 15 degrees in the games, has been taken from the sleeping time. So now the sleeping time is 120 degrees minus 15 degrees, which is nothing but 105 degrees. So the decrease in the time of sleeping is 15 degrees over the initial time, which was 120 degrees. And this multiplied by 100, will get the answer as 12.5% decrease. Let's look at the next question. What is the difference in time in hours spent in school and in doing homework? So in school he spends 105 degrees, in homework he spends 45 degrees. So what is the difference? 105 degrees minus 45 degrees, which is 60 degrees. Now I know that 360 degrees, the entire circle, represents 24 hours. So 1 degree would represent 24 by 360 hours, and 60 degrees would represent multiplied by 60 hours. So these many hours, if I cancel this out, this comes out to be 6 and this is 4. So my answer is 4 hours. Let's look at the last question on this set and this video presentation. If he spends 1/3 time of homework in mathematics, so homework is 45 degrees, 45 degrees by 3, the 1/3 time, it means 15 degrees is spent on mathematics. Then the number of hours he spends in rest of the subject in homework is, so if 15 degrees is spent on mathematics out of a total of 45 degrees, it means he spends the remaining 30 degrees, which is 45 degrees minus 15, on the other subjects. Now if I have to represent this in terms of time, I know again 360 degrees is 24 hours. So 1 degree is 24 by 360 degrees, 360 hours. These many hours, multiply this by 30, and you'll get the answer as 2 hours. So the correct answer option here is the B part. So that is all on pie charts. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Thank you for watching.